Overcoming an obstacle in your life is always challenging. No matter what hindrance this may be, the best way to get past this is to keep moving. Louis Zamperini tells his mind-blowing experience in his biography, Unbroken. He walks you through the true exposure of war in air, on land, and at sea. Unbroken is about a defiant Italian boy. Born with a bony figure, he had many bullies who treated him as if he were dirt. Louis had no way to rid his anger. One day, Louis began running to clear his head. This is when Louis discovered his true talent, track. Soon Louis joined the 1936 Berlin Olympics, tying with the runner with the world record. Once the war began, he put his running aside to become a U.S. airman. Louis and two other airmen were bombing Japanese planes, but got shot down into the Pacific. All hope was lost, until they find a boat to save them. The only problem? This boat was a Japanese prisoners of war boat. Louis then takes his readers through his journey with the Japanese general, the Bird, and the brutal treatments and beatings in Japan during World War II. World War II put a toll on the lives of soldiers and the lives of their families and friends. Unbroken teaches readers about the experiences as a prisoner of war and delivers the insight as a true American soldier during this horrific time. In Unbroken, Louis speaks of his outlook as a fighter for this country when he was told, "They can kill you here. No one knows you're alive." Louis' determination and courage as a combatant kept him climbing over the obstacle of Japan. I feel this book would be beneficial to the Board of Education because it allows history teachers to give their students a genuine definition of World War II. Teachers can only teach the facts. Louis explains his sight, his smell, his touch, and his sound. Reading this book shows him how a Japanese general during this time really acted and recognizes the detailed forces inflicted during World War II. A sea of faces would see their best friends killed every day. Louis even witnessed a true example of this horror. Louis speaks of a time where the Bird abuses one of his friends. The Bird beat Captain James and forced him to stand in front of the office for several days and nights in early winter, saluting the tree planted in front of the door. Not an easy task for a starving 63-year-old prisoner of war. This is just one of the many examples of the terrors of war. Louis was always told to keep fighting until he finishes the race. This relates both to his days as an Olympic athlete and his days in World War II. For instance, Louis thinks, "I was raised to face any challenge," when he stands in the starting line at the Berlin Olympics. Important life lessons are not taught, but gained. Once Unbroken is read, a student has the ability to connect their own challenges in life. If teachers were to provide an impacting book like Unbroken, students gain the knowledge that can be used their entire lives. Louis teaches more than just his life experiences. He enlightens students with his stories and provides a basis of lifetime knowledge in all 383 pages. Unbroken teaches dignity. Unbroken teaches determination. Unbroken teaches survival. Unbroken teaches resilience. For example, Louis' respect shows when he sends a letter to the Bird, the man who caused the camp to become an even more terrifying nightmare. He tells him that he forgives him for all of the suffering, not just towards himself, but for all of the men inside the concentration camp. This unveils the true respect students will not get from sitting in the classroom, but from an Air Force member. This is useful for a child's life at home and teaches them a valuable lesson of forgiveness. Heroism is powerful, yet weak. Weak because it is not often seen on today's streets. Grasping Unbroken can allow students to see how much courage is really out there in those most difficult times. Louis encourages readers to rebuild the heroism and bravery in life today. After the book was written, he states, Unbroken was published to help society. He gives the effect that tells the reader to make a difference in one book. Teachers can use Unbroken to create a sense of spirit in the students' hearts. A true airman, like Louis, has no ability of losing his boldness, which teaches students that they too can stay valiant. Unbroken is a book of many lifetimes. Even if pupils were living 50 years from now, this book will always stay a one-of-a-kind. Louis Zambrini teaches students the traits he has everlastingly presented in his own life. Sadly, this true champion is not with us today, but this book was written to carry on his legacy throughout the lives of students and people. Teachers can help contribute to Louis' wisdom, courage, and experience by sending this book to the Board of Education. It takes just one to make a difference, and adding this masterpiece can change the overall educational